Many of you have lost people that you loved, that you do love, you still love, and they've crossed over and they're in the other realm. What your loved ones would want you to know is that they are happy and they are fine. And your loved ones want you to know that they're still with you and they love you. But the most important thing that your loved ones want you to know is that they want you to be happy again. They want you to find your happiness and your joy again. If there's one message that your loved ones want you to know, is that they don't want you to feel guilty if you find happiness again. No matter what circumstances you've lost your loved ones under, whether it's through illness, accident, sudden death, gradual death, whether it's through suicide, don't feel guilty about anything. Nobody goes before their time. You could not control their death. If there's anything unsaid that you need to say to them, say it. They can hear you. They really can. And many people are confused about how to mourn people's deaths. Do whatever you need to do for your healing. You don't need to do it for them. They really don't need it. Do it for yourself. Do it for your healing. And if you find happiness again, you really need to realize that your life is still a gift and to be lived in joy. Even though they're gone, don't stop living your life. So if you find happiness again, don't feel guilty. Even if you've lost a partner and you find someone else to love again, don't feel guilty. They are very happy for you. Nothing makes them happier than to see you happy. And no matter what their personality was when they were in physical life, remember, they are without all the filters and the layers in the other realm. All they are and all they feel for you is unconditional love. And just remember that always.
I want to share another one with you. When I was getting ready to come to Sedona to write my book last year, my husband and I were in Oklahoma City visiting his uncle, and his uncle's wife was dying with brain cancer. And the family welcomed us in, but then quietly and quickly ushered me to the side, and they said, "We know how you are. Don't be talking to her about anything religious." And I said, "I won't, I promise. I'll just visit with her." When we got in there, she recognized us and was able to say a few words, but you could tell, their cancer was advanced. They told me that she was terrified. She was afraid that she hadn't been good enough to make it. So I leaned down, I broke my promise, and I whispered to her. And I said, "Do not be afraid, because your angels are going to be with you at that time. Perhaps even some loved ones will come. You will not die alone. You're just going to transition. It's okay. You're more than good enough. It's all right." On the way out here, I received a phone call. I drive out here, that she had passed. I always visit this lovely friend of mine here in Sedona. Her name's Nirup. She is a medium, psychic person, and we just visit. And so I went in to see her one day while I was here. And she said, "What do you want to talk about today?" And I said, "I don't know. How about the book?" And she said, wait. She goes, "There's somebody that's jumping up and down, spiritual realm, all excited about seeing you, wanting to thank you, a female, white hair." She said, "Do you have any idea who that is?" I said, "I've been doing this for 30 years. I don't know. I'm not sure." And she goes, No. "This is somebody that's just crossed over." And she said, "You helped her cross over with no fear. She wants you to know that she wants you to tell the people at home, I made it. I was okay. I was good enough." So that was pretty precious to me.
I had miracles happen. I mean, I say I had angels show up. And sometimes those angels were my brothers or my mom. Sometimes it was neighbors. But I felt as if there was always angels from the other side. It's almost like Griffin and Tamara never really were gone. I eventually fell in love again, which was crazy. I mean, I had guilt about that. I think I have a guilt complex. I mean, I had this incredible woman come into my life, Tanya. She's my wife now. And I wasn't dating. I was still bereaved. I was still heartbroken. But I began to have feelings for her. And I felt awful. I would go to the graveyard and I would lay on my wife's grave and I was sobbing, saying, well, I was angry. At one point, I'm like, how could you leave me like this? You know, I don't even walk right, and I'm trying to raise our son, and you're in that beautiful place, and how dare you leave me? I mean, I was angry. And it was interesting because as I was pouring out my heart and letting her have it with my words, I felt her. Now, I don't see, but I felt her. I felt as if she came and put her hands on my shoulders behind me. And then she communicated so clearly. She was like, don't berate me for leaving. And she said to me, she said, I loved you enough to leave. And I thought, wow, but that can't be right. That can't, that doesn't make sense. And she communicated, she said, you would not be learning what you're learning. Life would be so different. I would have loved nothing more than to grow old with you and be with you, but that was not the plan. And she laid out like this was a big plan. We made this deal that you were going to come, you were going to have this experience, and that I was going to love you enough to go so that you would have those feelings and have your soul expand in such a way. And none of this really made sense. And so I don't fight fair. And I said, yeah, but I'm having feelings for another woman, And she laughed at me. She said, of course you are. Of course you are. I want you to be happy. I want you to have love. I want you to be with someone. I am not jealous. I'm not upset. I'm not hurt. In fact, she communicated, I sent her your way. You can do whatever you want. You have the choice. But she will teach you unconditional love. And it was so real. Once again, that was so real to me. I could hear the voice in my head, but I could feel it in my heart. I mean, the communication was so clear, and I could feel her there. Even though I didn't feel her physically, I could feel her right there with me. And that was life-changing as well. And I eventually remarried, I mean, Tanya and I continued our relationship, and Spencer embraced her as a mother. Tanya's the hero of the story. I mean, she came in and continued to heal a broken man, because I was broken.
Many people watching this, as you said, have lost loved ones, so they have a fear of death. Often when people have lost loved ones, there's a feeling of alienation and coldness and silence, in which maybe they want to get a message from the loved one, or they want to be reassured that they're okay. You've run into people like this. What do you have to say to people who are undergoing the grief from having lost a loved one?
Oh gosh, that is what a great question. That is something that's really important to me. For one thing, I want to reassure them that the person that they've lost is alive and well, and can't imagine why they would be grieving for them. And here's something else that's, even though I've been through after-death experience, I still grieve when I lose a loved one. Maybe in a little different way. I'm happy for that person, but I still go through the same grief process, and I know what it's like to grieve hard. And so the danger is to minimize it, and to while trying to reassure that person that their loved one is alive and well. And it's like walking a tightrope, to not like say, oh, well, you know, the grief doesn't exist, you know, it's just an illusion, and, you know, don't worry about it. No, it's the grief is very real.
Mhm.
So basically, I try to keep it very, very, very quick and allow them to ask me more questions if they want. I just don't. Have you ever heard of a near-death experience? I had that happen to me once, and I can assure you that your loved one is indeed alive and well and can't imagine why you're grieving for them. And I'll leave it right there. If they want to ask more questions, then we'll take it from there.
There's a video on YouTube that I recommend you all go look up if you haven't seen it, about there were two sisters who were losing their mother, and before she died, they said, now could you, when you die, will you send us a sign that you're okay? And then one of them said, send us a cardinal. And her mom said, I'll see what I can do. The day after her memorial service, they all got together to play her favorite card game. And one of them heard a noise at the window. So they went out and came back in carrying a cardinal. It wasn't hurt. It was letting them all pet it. Then they took it outside to release it. And that's the part they videotaped. So this sister, one of the two sisters, throws the cardinal up in the air, and it flies up in the air and then comes back and lands on her shoulder. And they both started crying. It was so sweet, and I was so excited to see this video because I have been hearing about these experiences and having them, and I'm like, somebody caught it on tape. So if you Google sisters receiving a sign and cardinal, you'll be able to watch that video.
I realized that love gets very distorted in this dimension, in this realm. In that realm, I started to understand that when we cross over, not only do we leave behind our physical bodies, our physical biology, our bodies, but with our bodies goes our gender, which we leave behind. We leave behind our race, our culture. We leave behind our ego, our values. All these get left behind. So what crosses over? Our essence, our pure essence, our consciousness. Once you've stripped all these layers and layers of filters away, that essence that is left, that essence is pure, unconditional love. It's just pure before it's been diluted and filtered through all our cultural conditionings and gender conditionings and so on, and ego responses. So in that realm, I encountered my father, and all I felt from him was pure, unconditional love. And I understood that that's all he had ever felt for me. And even when he tried to get me married, he did it out of love, because he believed that the most loving thing he could do was to find me a good husband, because that was his cultural belief. I understood that even though I had always thought I was a victim of my culture, I realized that in a sense, either we are all victims or none of us are victims, because even he is a victim of his culture in the same way I was. He was just bringing me up in the best way he knew how, doing it as lovingly as he knew how to do. This brought me huge understanding of how so many of us are well-meaning, but it doesn't always appear that way when we express through all these various filters we have. I also realized in that realm that even though I was looking for forgiveness from my father, I realized that what I got from him was something far more than forgiveness. It was pure compassion and empathy. And that is far deeper than forgiveness, because when you forgive someone, what you're really saying is that you've hurt me, you've wronged me, but I'm going to forgive you anyway. So it's like you judge the person, that they've done something wrong, but you're going to forgive them. What I felt from him was something far deeper and far beyond that. It was more a feeling of, you didn't do anything wrong, you did everything the best you knew how. And that's all I felt for him and from him.